Have you ever sat there and just reminisced about your favorite horror movie and you just came up with that one question about it and it just really itched your brain? Like, why didn't Smoke want to be a vampire with his brother Stack? Was Jack Torrance always destined to lose his mind in The Shining? Why did David Gordon Green, you know what, never mind. If you ask yourself questions like these, then come rock with your boy and subscribe to the channel and we'll dive into some horror questions that need answers. Alright, Spooky Gang, so first question is about the movie Get Out. And it's, would the story still hit as hard if it wasn't told through the lens of race? Or is that exactly what gives it its power? You look at the movie Get Out, it's clearly not just a horror movie. There's a lot of social commentary on the discomfort in racism. The premise of the movie and the procedure is the minds of white people being transplanted into black people. Because in some ways there's a lot of exploitation when it comes to the black bodies because of the raw athleticism, the power strength, and just some of those natural abilities. But would the movie still work without that? And me personally, I think that it absolutely would still work. I don't think it would be as impactful as it was without the whole racial lens. But I think this movie absolutely could work. I mean, we saw throughout the movie that Rose essentially brings her boyfriends and girlfriends that are black to the house, so then that procedure can go on and so forth. So all these people end up going missing, and because they become a whole new person, a whole new identity, because they have a new brain. I still think that that concept could still work. It would just be Rose bringing whatever race to that house, and just the whole idea of the movie is this family, that's just what they do. As they get older, then they just transplant their brain into a new fresh body, and boom, and then their lifespan is extended. So like, you know what I mean? Like, all those things could work, and the movie really could have played out almost exactly the same. It's just having that extra context in this movie and having those extra themes elevates the movie a little bit. The next question is for the movie Insidious. And so the question is, what did the demon truly want with Dalton? Was it actually possession, or was it something that was a little deeper? We know that in the original Insidious that the demon that is after Dalton is called, you know, the man with fire on his face. And we also know that Dalton's dad, Josh, in the movie also faced his own haunting when he was a child, somewhere around Dalton's age as well. And Elise, who's helped both of them, has also talked about how different spirits have different ambitions. Some of them crave life again and just want another shot at living. Some essentially want to destroy any and everything that they can possible, which is usually what demons do. It makes you wonder, does this demon want Dalton for his ability, or would he have wanted just pretty much any old child that would have been vulnerable in this situation? And the reason why I mention that is because, you know, Dalton has this ability with being able to go into the further with astral projection. That's something that a lot of people can't do. So does he want Dalton specifically because he has that ability, so he possesses Dalton and now he has access to both the real world and he has access to the further? Or is it just a case of, I just want to be able to be demonic and do whatever I want to do? So this is the type of questions that I come with, y'all. I mean, it can really get wicked. The next question is for the movie Sinister. And the question is, how did Bagul's images spread across families? Like, I mean, when you think about, like, how did it start? Was he a human at some point and he created art with sick images and, you know, pagan deities and all of this good stuff? And then he eventually died, and then he just is in that, and that's how his art and his existence still spread even though he was dead. We know in Sinister they call Bagul the eater of children. He exists in his own dimension, and he uses images like drawings, photos, and use home movies as some level of a portal. When somebody views or interacts with the images, then they essentially accept him, they invite him into their lives. The way it spread from home to home was, you know, a person would live in a home, they saw the images, then they moved to another home, and then because they moved from that home, then they died in that home. And then the next person moves into that home, they see the images, they move because of the disturbances that they see, and then, you know, and then the cycle rinse and repeat. But still, at the end of the day, it's like, how did it really start? How did we even get to this point to where Ellison is sitting here viewing these home movies of these different killings that happened over the course of decades? And in the movie never 100% clarifies whether Bagul affects people directly through the images, or whether it's the curiosity and like the fixation to understand what's going on that sort of gives him his power. The next question is about Barbarian, and the question is, how many people had actually gone missing before Tess arrived? And is Keith good or bad? The Airbnb pretty much covers up a world of horror. There's tunnels beneath the house that have a bunch of different sick things that have gone on, and they all revolve around the original owner, Frank, who was kidnapping and essaying women. And he did this over many years. And with each one, there was inbred offspring. So that all that culminated into who we know as the mother in the movie, which is just this big gray monster. And then the scene where Justin Long goes down there and sees an old Frank that's in the bed, and then he sees all the tapes. It just makes you think, like, how did all of these end up going missing with no notice? Like, nobody's sitting there looking for them or anything like that. Like, it just kind of makes you like, golly. And from the looks of it, it looks like he probably got at least 15 to 20 women. So it's just, it's really wicked. And then that also leads to the question where, okay, Frank is clearly this old guy now, and he pretty much can't do anything. He's just like stuck there in the bed. And Keith was in the house before Tess got there. The whole movie tries to play with you and give Keith that kind of weird niceness where it's like, okay, like, is he truly nice or is he not? Does he have good intentions? So it raises all of these questions in your mind. But then when it gets to the part where Keith goes down into the basement and then to discover the tunnels and all this good stuff, and he's yelling for help, yelling for Tess to help him. When Tess finally gets to him, he's trying to bring Tess the other way, back towards what we would think would be towards Frank, or, you know, even in the direction of the mother. But yet Tess was telling him, no, we need to go back this way, which will actually be out. So it makes you wonder, like, he gave this nice guy act, and he still was kind of weird at some points. But why would he be trying to get Tess to go backwards as opposed to forwards? And at the end of the day, like I said, if Frank is in the bed and he's basically disabled for the most part, then how has Frank been living and eating and supporting himself all this time? Especially considering Justin Long's character was in California for the most part, and it seemed like as if he never really paid attention to this Detroit property. So it just gives you some crazy questions about this movie, but regardless of whatever the answer may be, I still love it. And the last question that I have is about the movie It Follows. What happens with the entity when it finally reaches the first person again? Like, does it stop or does it start over? The rules of It Follows is intentionally vague. I mean, there isn't really a whole lot of information on it outside of the only way for you to get rid of it is to pass it on, and then when you see it, and it can look like anything and it will always be approaching you, don't let it touch you. So these are pretty much the only rules that we know about this thing. So it makes you wonder, so okay, if it ends up killing all of the lineage and it goes right back down to the first person and it kills that person, okay, is that it? Like, is this whole thing over and then people can finally live peacefully again? Or is this about to be the case where, okay, it's finished and now it changes direction and starts this whole bad boy up and start a whole new chain of people? Some people think it's eternal. You just never know what the answer will be unless we get It Follows 2 and they do like most sequels do, and they over explain the entity's origin or whatever it is, which they very well may do. If it happens, hey, we'll just have to see, because there's endless possibilities. But that is all I have, Spooky Gang. Y'all comment down below what you think of some of these questions, and if you had any particular answers to them that might be pretty intriguing. Yeah, y'all comment that down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're on the road to 10K subs. If you love horror content, then best believe I'm gonna be the one to bring it. So like I said, subscribe to the channel, like the video. And for my Spooky Gang, y'all already know how we rocking. Until next time, y'all stay blessed and y'all stay spooky.